philosophy of loving without losing yourself. Have you ever fallen so deeply in love that you felt like you were losing your mind? What if the intensity of that love wasn't real affection, but a hidden form of self-obsession? And what if the love you've always chased isn't even the kind that truly frees the heart? Welcome to Live Stoic. Live strong, where we trade illusions for truth. Where emotions are felt, but not obeyed. Where clarity is power, and discipline is freedom. This is not just a channel, it's a mindset. It's a journey of conscious living. Let's begin. Falling in love. It's been called many things, but perhaps no phrase captures it more piercingly than this: the insanity of the soul. Anyone who's ever truly experienced it knows the feeling. It's overwhelming, it's thrilling, and it completely shatters any sense of control. Logic? Gone. Reason? Abandoned. Because suddenly, this one person, this glowing perfect being, has enchanted every part of us. And there's only one thing that matters: to be with them. It's exhilarating, but also dangerous. Beautiful, but often blinding. It can feel like flying and falling at the same time. And when we're caught in it, fully, helplessly, there's no steering the ship. We are no longer the captain. We are swept away. This irresistible, uncontrollable pull has fascinated philosophers across centuries. What exactly is happening when we fall in love? Why do we lose ourselves in it? And is all love created equal? Or are there deeper distinctions that change everything? In this video, we'll take a deeper look at a few philosophical perspectives on love, especially the ideas of preferential versus non-preferential love. And we begin with the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, whose own life offers a poignant example of love's emotional complexity. While studying at the University of Copenhagen, Kierkegaard met Regine Olsen, a bright, vivacious woman 9 years his junior. The two quickly fell for each other, deeply, passionately. Their connection was intense and undeniable. And yet, for Kierkegaard, this love didn't feel like a romantic triumph. It felt like a tragedy. Why? Because Kierkegaard saw beneath the surface of what most people call falling in love. To him, not all love was equal. He identified a type called passionate preferential love. It's the kind most people chase, the one rooted in desire, attraction, chemistry. But for Kierkegaard, this love was ultimately just another form of self-love. Why? Because when we fall in love this way, we're not truly seeing the other person for who they are. We're seeing them as someone who fulfills our needs, who gives us pleasure, who makes us feel alive. It's not about giving, it's about receiving. Think about it. Isn't it often the case that we fall in love with how someone makes us feel, rather than who they truly are? The joy, the rush, the validation, we chase those feelings. But those feelings are still centered on ourselves. In contrast, Kierkegaard introduced another kind of love: non-preferential love. This love is not based on passion. It isn't erotic. And it isn't selfish. It doesn't come from craving. It comes from equanimity, from something calm, clear, and deeper. It's the kind of love that doesn't ask who the person is, but simply chooses to love. This is the love of a neighbor, not because they're charming or attractive or chosen, but because they exist. It's love given freely, endlessly, without the expectation of reward. Kierkegaard explained, "Neighbor presses as closely as possible upon the selfishness in life. If there are only two men, the other man is the neighbor. If there are millions, each one of these is the neighbor, who is again closer to one than the friend and the beloved. Insofar as those, as being the objects of preferential love, gradually become analogous to the self-love in one. In other words, true love, the kind that doesn't trap us, is not the burning desire for one specific person. It's the quiet, steady willingness to care for anyone, not based on preference, but on presence. And so, seeing through the illusion of romantic passion, Kierkegaard understood that his love for Regine, though powerful, was also temporary, conditional, and unsustainable. No matter how deep their feelings, it was a love tied to self-interest, and he knew it would eventually fade. But if that kind of love fades, what kind of love endures? That's the question we'll begin to unravel in the next section. Previously, we uncovered Kierkegaard's distinction between passionate, preferential love and the deeper, quieter form of non-preferential love. But in real life, love rarely fits so neatly into categories, and Kierkegaard knew that better than anyone. A year after becoming engaged to Regine Olsen, Søren Kierkegaard made the most agonizing decision of his life. He broke off the engagement. The pain was immense. He cried. He grieved. But in the end, he accepted what he saw as his destiny, a life of solitude and philosophical contemplation. Still, even after turning away from the life they might have shared, he remained emotionally faithful to her until the end of his days. Regine, on the other hand, moved on, at least outwardly. She married another man, lived another life. And yet, as the years passed, many believed she never completely let go of Søren. The bond between them may have broken in form, but not in memory. She became something more than a person in Kierkegaard's life. She became a symbol, a myth, an eternal figure, haunting his writings, shaping his thoughts, and living on through his words. In some paradoxical way, by walking away from the relationship, Kierkegaard immortalized it. Regine was no longer just a woman. She became an idea, a muse, a spiritual echo that defined his emotional world for the rest of his life. Thank you for staying with Live Stoic, Live Strong. It means you're seeking more than words. We're here for that journey with you. But what kind of love was this? According to Kierkegaard, it was still preferential love, a love driven by intense attachment and desire. When directed at a lover, he believed it often becomes entangled with lust and fantasy. And the consequences? Turbulence, chaos, a whirlwind of emotions so powerful that they consume the self. Joy turns to jealousy. Affection shifts into rage. Longing becomes obsession. How can something so divine one moment become destructive the next? Why do we, as humans, chase this experience so blindly, knowing it has the power to twist our hearts into knots? Is this really love? Or is it something closer to madness? Have we, as a culture, romanticized our own inner chaos and called it sacred? Kierkegaard wasn't alone in asking these questions. Many ancient philosophies have viewed romantic love with deep skepticism. In Buddhism, for example, romantic love is not inherently good. It can be beautiful, but it can also be dangerous, especially when it feeds on attachment, expectation, and emotional dependency. Vietnamese Zen master Thích Nhất Hạnh, in an interview, put it simply and powerfully. If romantic love is true love, it can also bring a lot of happiness. But if it is not true love, it will make you suffer, and make the other suffer as well. It seems obvious, doesn't it? And yet, how often do we fall in love with our desires more than the actual person? How many times has passion brought us not peace, but pain? The ancient Stoics understood this dynamic well. For them, desire was dangerous, because with desire comes disappointment. If we don't obtain the object of our desire, we suffer. And even if we do, we fear losing it. This disappointment breeds more than just sadness. It can lead to jealousy, possessiveness, and a toxic sense of ownership. When two people are madly in love, wanting to be inseparable, they also unintentionally create the perfect soil for fear, specifically the fear of separation. And from that fear, suffering grows. We see this so clearly in one of the most iconic pop culture examples, Anakin Skywalker. His story is the tragic blueprint of what happens when desire overtakes duty, and passion overshadows wisdom. Anakin's fear of losing Padme, which echoes the early loss of his mother, consumes him. It becomes his weakness, his vulnerability, and eventually, his undoing. This obsession, this refusal to accept the possibility of separation, makes him easily manipulated by darkness. He betrays the Jedi, the very philosophy of selfless love, in pursuit of preferential love. And in doing so, he loses everything, including the person he was so desperate to protect. So then, with all this danger and heartache, is love between two people even worth pursuing? Is there a way to love without destroying ourselves in the process? According to Thích Nhất Hạnh, the answer is yes. There is a kind of romantic love that can be true, healing, and sustainable, but only when it's built on the right foundation. He identifies 4 essential elements of true love. The first, loving kindness, the ability to bring happiness to the one you love. The second, compassion, the capacity to understand and hold their suffering. In the next section, we'll explore all 4 and how they can transform the way we understand, give, and receive love. In the previous part, we explored how true love requires compassion and loving kindness, not craving or clinging. Now, we complete the picture with the remaining elements that make love not only beautiful, but sustainable. According to Zen master Thích Nhất Hạnh, in order for romantic love to be true love, it must contain 4 essential elements. We've already touched on the first 2. Loving kindness, the genuine ability to bring joy to someone else, and compassion, the deep, empathetic understanding of their suffering. But the third is equally vital, joy. Because what is love if not the capacity to laugh together, to feel lightness even in life's heaviness? Thích Nhất Hạnh reminds us that true love is not measured by how deeply we suffer for someone, but by how much fun we can have with them. True love doesn't leave a trail of tears. It lights a path of shared laughter. The 4th and final ingredient is inclusiveness, a beautiful, profound concept. It means that in a true partnership, 2 souls don't just stand side by side. They merge in mutual understanding. They become one. Not in a way that erases individuality, but in the sense that each person is willing to carry the burdens of the other, as if they were their own. This idea echoes the wisdom of the ancient Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, who wrote, "In marriage, there must be complete companionship and concern for each other on the part of both husband and wife, in health and in sickness and at all times, because they entered upon the marriage for this reason, as well as to produce offspring." Real love, he argued, isn't just built on desire or even shared values. It's built on daily care, on choosing again and again to stand by one another, especially when life gets difficult. But here's where many people go wrong. They enter love from a place of lack. They are empty inside, and they hope a partner will complete them, will fix them, will fill the silent ache they've carried for years. But that is never the path to lasting love. Because when we outsource our happiness, we build it on unstable ground. That high we get in the beginning, the thrill of infatuation, feels like wholeness, for a while. But once the honeymoon ends, the ache returns. And what do many people do then? They move on to someone new, searching again and again. for that fleeting hit of emotional intensity. But completeness doesn't come from another person. It comes from within. Only when we've become whole on our own, when we no longer need someone to fix us, can we love truly, without conditions, without bargaining, without fear. That's when falling in love becomes something else entirely. It's no longer a desperate leap into the unknown. It's a conscious offering, a sharing, not of our emptiness, but of our fullness. This is the place where preferential love gives way to non-preferential love, as described by both Kierkegaard and Buddhist philosophy. A love that is not exclusive, not possessive, but expansive. A love that reaches outward, not only to a partner, but to life itself. As the ancient Taoist sage Lao Tzu once wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "Love the whole world as if it were yourself. Then you will truly care for all things." And perhaps that's the true goal. Not to fall in love with just one person, but to fall in love with existence itself. Now, if love can be this vast, this generous, this boundless, then how do we practice it in real life? How do we bring these deep ideas into everyday actions, emotions, and choices? So here's the truth. Love can lift you, or it can consume you. It can bring clarity or confusion. But in the end, love isn't just about feeling. It's about choosing. Choose to love without losing yourself. Choose to give without needing control. Choose to let go, not because you're cold, but because you're strong enough to trust what stays and release what doesn't. Remember, you don't need someone to complete you. You complete yourself. And from that fullness, you love, not to have, but to honor. As the Stoics teach us, we don't control what we love, but we always control how we love. Thank you for your time. If one idea touched you today, come back next time. It may reach deeper. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a quiet moment. See you in the next video.